The Whispers of Blackwood Manor. Elias Thorne was a shadow in the city of Blackwood. He lived in the dilapidated district of Spitalfields, a world away from the opulent Blackwood Manor, the ancestral home of the powerful and influential Blackwood family. Elias worked as a bookbinder, his hands skilled in the art of preserving stories, a cruel irony given his own forgotten history. He was a young man of quiet intensity, his eyes holding a depth of sorrow and a flicker of burning resentment. He knew the truth of his lineage, a secret passed down through generations of whispers and hushed tones. Elias was the rightful heir to the Blackwood fortune, a claim stolen from his ancestors by a web of deceit and betrayal. The Blackwood family, led by the ruthless patriarch, Lord Alistair Blackwood, was a force to be reckoned with. They controlled vast swathes of the city, their influence reaching into every corner of society. Alistair's children, the charming but manipulative Julian and the icy, ambitious Seraphina, were poised to inherit their father's empire. Elias, fueled by a burning desire for justice, meticulously planned his return. He knew that a direct confrontation would be suicide. He needed to infiltrate the family's inner circle, to expose their secrets, to manipulate their rivalries, and to reclaim what was rightfully his. He started by gaining the trust of Mrs. Eleanor Davies, a kind but weary woman who worked as a housekeeper at Blackwood Manor. Eleanor, unaware of Elias's true identity, saw in him a kindred spirit, a young man with gentle soul and a thirst for knowledge. She became his informant, providing him with glimpses into the family's dynamics, their habits, their secrets. Through Eleanor, Elias learned about the strained relationship between Julian and Seraphina, their constant competition for their father's approval. He learned about Alistair's hidden affairs, his ruthless business dealings, his carefully guarded secrets. He discovered that the Blackwood family was built on a foundation of lies and deceit, a legacy of shadows that stretched back generations. Elias also encountered a mysterious figure named Mr. Silas Blackwood, a distant relative of the family, ostracized and dismissed as an eccentric old man. Silas, however, possessed a sharp mind and a keen understanding of the family's history. He seemed to sense something in Elias, a hidden connection, a shared destiny. Silas became Elias's mentor, guiding him through the labyrinthine corridors of Blackwood history, revealing the intricate details of the family's past. He told Elias about the original theft of his inheritance, the betrayal that had set in motion a chain of events that had shaped the lives of generations. As Elias delved deeper into the Blackwood family's past, he began to uncover a series of unsettling events. He learned about a hidden room in Blackwood Manor, a place where the family's darkest secrets were kept. He discovered a series of coded letters, hinting at a conspiracy that reached far beyond the family's walls. He sensed a presence, a malevolent force that seemed to be watching him, waiting for him to make a mistake. The atmosphere at Blackwood Manor became increasingly tense. Julian and Seraphina's rivalry escalated, their ambition turning into a bitter and dangerous game. Alistair, his health deteriorating, became more paranoid and erratic. Eleanor, caught in the middle, became increasingly fearful. Elias, carefully navigating the treacherous currents of Blackwood Manor, began to manipulate the family's dynamics. He played Julian and Seraphina against each other, fueling their ambition, exploiting their weaknesses. He subtly undermined Alistair's authority, exposing his secrets, eroding his power. He also began to search for the hidden room, the key to unlocking the truth about his family's past. He explored the labyrinthine corridors of the manor, his movements shrouded in secrecy. He felt a presence, a watchful gaze that seemed to follow his every move. One night, as a storm raged outside, Elias finally found a hidden room. It was a dark, dusty chamber, filled with ancient artifacts and forgotten documents. He discovered a portrait of his ancestors, their faces bearing a striking resemblance to his own. He found a journal, detailing the original theft of his inheritance, the names of those who had conspired against his family. He also found something else, something unexpected, something that would change everything. He found a letter written by his own father, a letter that revealed a shocking truth, a secret that would force Elias to question everything he believed. The unmasking and the obsidian heart. The revelation within the hidden room was a seismic shift, a shattering of Elias's carefully constructed narrative. The letter, penned in his father's frantic hand, wasn't a lament of pure victimhood. It was a confession, a chilling admission of a desperate pact, a bargain struck with the shadows that had long haunted the Blackwood line. His father, driven by the same burning resentment that now threatened to consume Elias, had sought not just justice, but annihilation. He had sought to unleash a force, an ancient malevolence that had been dormant within the Blackwood lineage, a darkness that Silas Blackwood now embodied. Elias was a vortex of conflicting emotions. The righteous anger that had fueled his quest for vengeance now felt tainted, poisoned. He was no longer a pure avenger, but a reluctant inheritor of a legacy he desperately wanted to reject. The storm outside the manor mirrored the tempest within him. The wind howled like a banshee. The rain lashed against the ancient stones, and the shadows within the manor seemed to writhe and deepen, as if anticipating a feast. The Blackwood Manor, once a symbol of power and privilege, had become a stage for a deadly drama. Julian and Seraphina, their sibling rivalry now a grotesque parody of ambition, were consumed by a mutual hatred, their every interaction a calculated move in a deadly game. Alistair, his once imposing figure reduced to a trembling shell, was haunted by the ghosts of his past, his paranoia a tangible presence in the cold, echoing halls. Eleanor, her loyalty torn between her duty and her growing fear, moved through the manor like a ghost, her face etched with dread. Elias, armed with the truth from the hidden room, knew he couldn't afford to hesitate. The darkness was rising, and he had confronted, not with the weapons of vengeance, but with the light of truth. He decided to confront Alistair, not to inflict further pain, but to understand the origins of the darkness, to find a way to extinguish it. He found Alistair in his study, a grand, opulent room now devoid of warmth, its once imposing grandeur reduced to a cold, echoing shell. Alistair, his face pale and drawn, his eyes filled with haunting fear, looked at Elias with a mixture of suspicion and a desperate plea for understanding. "Who are you?" Alistair croaked, his voice a mere whisper. "What do you want?" Elias revealed his identity, his voice resonating with a quiet strength. He laid bare the truth of his lineage, the hidden letter, the journal detailing the stolen inheritance. He spoke of his father's pact, the ancient darkness that now threatened to consume them all. Alistair listened, his eyes widening with a dawning horror. He seemed to shrink before Elias's eyes, the weight of his family sins crushing him. He confessed, his voice trembling, that he had always sensed a darkness within his family, a malevolent presence that had influenced their actions, their decisions. He spoke of whispers in the night, of unsettling dreams, of a feeling that they were being watched, manipulated. As Alistair spoke, a sudden, chilling silence descended upon the manor. The wind outside ceased howling, the rain stopped its relentless drumming, and the shadows within the study seemed to coalesce, to form a tangible presence. The lights flickered, casting grotesque shadows across the walls, and a cold wind swept through the room, carrying with it a sense of dread. Alistair, his eyes wide with terror, whispered, "It's him. He's here." Before Elias could react, a figure emerged from the shadows. It was Silas Blackwood, but he was no longer the frail, eccentric old man Elias had known. His eyes burned with an unholy light, his face twisted into a grotesque mask, a reflection of the ancient darkness that had consumed him. Silas revealed his true form, his voice a chilling whisper that seemed to emanate from the very depths of the manor. He was not merely a man, but a vessel, a conduit for the ancient malevolence that had plagued the Blackwood line. He spoke of a pact made centuries ago, a bargain struck with a force that existed beyond the realm of human comprehension. He spoke of the Obsidian Heart, an artifact of immense power, the source of the darkness, the key to unlocking a reign of chaos. He revealed that Elias's father, in his desperation for revenge, had sought to awaken the Obsidian Heart, to unleash its power upon the Blackwood family. But he had failed, his attempt thwarted, his life forfeit. Now, Silas sought to complete what Elias's father had begun, to claim the Obsidian Heart, to plunge the city into darkness. A fight ensued, a desperate battle between light and shadow, between justice and vengeance. The study, once a symbol of power, became a battleground, the ancient artifacts and opulent furniture shattered by the force of their struggle. Elias, armed with the truth of his family's past and the strength of his own conscience, fought against Silas, his determination fueled by a desire to break the cycle of violence. Silas, empowered by the obsidian heart, was a formidable opponent. He moved with unnatural speed, his attacks imbued with a dark energy that threatened to consume Elias's soul. The manor trembled. The storm raged outside, and the fate of the Blackwood family, the fate of Elias, hung in the balance. As they fought, Elias began to understand the true nature of the obsidian heart. It wasn't merely an artifact of power, but a reflection of the darkness within the human heart, the capacity for greed, for hatred, for destruction. He realized that the only way to defeat Silas was not to destroy him, but to sever his connection to the obsidian heart, to extinguish the darkness within him. He used the truth of his lineage, the knowledge of his father's pact, to weaken Silas's hold on the obsidian heart. He spoke of reconciliation, of forgiveness, of the possibility of breaking the cycle of violence. He appealed to the remnants of humanity that still flickered within Silas, the faint echo of man trapped within a monstrous form. The battle reached its climax. Elias, his voice filled with a desperate plea, spoke of the choice that lay before them, the choice between darkness and light, between destruction and redemption. He offered Silas a chance to break free from the obsidian heart, to relinquish its power, to embrace the possibility of forgiveness. Silas hesitated, his eyes flickering with a moment of doubt. The darkness within him recoiled, its grip loosening. But the obsidian heart, sensing its impending defeat, lashed out, its power surging, threatening to consume them both. In a final act of desperation, Elias channeled the strength of his ancestors, the strength of those who had chosen light over darkness, forgiveness over vengeance. He severed the connection between Silas and the obsidian heart, extinguishing the ancient malevolence that had plagued the Blackwood line. Silas collapsed, his monstrous form dissolving into dust, leaving behind only the obsidian heart, now inert, its dark energy extinguished. The manor fell silent, the storm outside abating, as if holding its breath. Elias, exhausted but resolute, looked at the obsidian heart. He knew that its power, even dormant, was too dangerous to remain in the human realm. He decided to return it to its origins, to seal it away, to ensure that it would never again corrupt the hearts of men. He left Blackwood Manor, leaving behind the remnants of a legacy of darkness. He carried with him the scars of the past, the knowledge of the darkness that lurked within the human heart. But he also carried with him the hope of redemption, the belief that even in the darkest of shadows, the light of truth could prevail. As he walked away, a final truth was revealed, a twist that would forever alter his understanding of his family's history. It was revealed that the original theft of the Blackwood fortune was not an act of pure greed, but a desperate attempt to contain the obsidian heart, to prevent it from falling into the wrong hands. His ancestors, in their flawed attempt to protect the world, had unknowingly set in motion a chain of events that had led to the present conflict. Elias, the reluctant inheritor of a legacy of shadows, had not only broken the cycle of violence, but had also redeemed the actions of his ancestors, bringing an end to a centuries-old struggle.